In The Prince, Niccolò Machiavelli said, "The vulgar crowd always is taken by appearances, and the world consists chiefly of the vulgar." Are the vulgar capable of appreciating art? Anaïs Nin said, "It is the function of art to renew our perception. What we are familiar with we cease to see. The writer shakes up the familiar scene, and as if by magic, we see a new meaning in it." Great thinkers are like artists. Countless people look at mathematical sinusoids and just see them as boring abstractions, which they came across in boring math class. The notion that they are the basis of existence could never occur to them. It takes the greatest geniuses to make these connections that no one else can see or even guess. They give everything an entirely new meaning. They shake it all up. They are the kaleidoscope thinkers. Anaïs Nin said, "Love never dies a natural death. It dies because we don't know how to replenish its source. It dies of blindness and errors and betrayals. It dies of illness and wounds. It dies of weariness, of witherings, of tarnishings." This is a startling thought. Could we love forever if we knew how to love properly? Imagine looking at your lover 10 years after you first met her, and still getting that same high as on the first day of love. Why not have the same experience 50 years hence? Anaïs Nin said, "Reality doesn't impress me. I only believe in intoxication, in ecstasy, and when ordinary life shackles me, I escape, one way or another. No more walls." The funny thing is that many people probably say they agree with that, but Anaïs Nin meant it, while these other people are just striking a pose. Anaïs Nin said, "Ordinary life does not interest me. I seek only the high moments. But the high moments aren't high without the lows, and that's what ordinary life supplies in abundance." Anaïs Nin said, "Nothing too long imagined can be perfect in a worldly way." Nin didn't imagine long enough. Do you want your girlfriend to be perfect? It can be done. You can confer perfection on her, and she is so delighted by how you are looking at her that she becomes perfect. Anaïs Nin said, "To withhold from living is to die. The more you give of yourself to life, the more life nourishes you." It's extraordinary how little people give, how dull they are, how little they try. You glance at people's social media pages and a little bit of you dies. How can people live this way? Why not go for it? Stop withholding from life. Anaïs Nin said, "Worlds self-made are so full of monsters and demons." What a curious notion. Hell is other people, as we know, or is each individual a hell? Anaïs Nin said, "Anxiety is love's greatest killer. It makes one feel as you might when a drowning man holds onto you. You want to save him, but you know he will strangle you with his panic." Shouldn't love cure anxiety? Are people actually in love if they are anxious all the time? That sounds like some dreadful torture. Anaïs Nin said, "All those who try to unveil the mysteries always have tragic lives. At the end, they are always punished." Tell us about it. Anyone who tries to change anything will be punished by the gods, that's pathos, via the trolls, that's bathos. Ordinary people never come to the attention of the trolls, only the extraordinary do. Anaïs Nin said, "One handles truths like dynamite. It's amazing how often the truth blows up in your face." Anaïs Nin said, "Shame is the lie someone told you about yourself." Is guilt the truth you told yourself about yourself? Anaïs Nin said, "Passion gives me moments of wholeness." Is lack of passion a fragmentary life of parts? Anaïs Nin said, "The final lesson a writer learns is that everything can nourish the writer. The dictionary, a new word, a voyage, an encounter, a talk on the street, a book, a phrase learned." That's right. The writer takes nourishment from anything at all, from everything. Anaïs Nin said, "Art is the method of levitation, in order to separate oneself from enslavement by the earth. All great artists are in the air. Everyone else is stuck on the ground." Anaïs Nin said, "I love your silences, they are like mine. Are all silences the same, or can silences be grouped, like personality types? Perhaps I won't like your silence. It would be disagreeable to me. Would you fall in love with mine? Can silences be beautiful? Silence is awesome. Silence is sublime. Pythagoras tellingly said, 'Be silent, or say something better than silence.' Words ought to be sublime in order to break the silence." Anaïs Nin said, "The creative personality never remains fixed on the first world it discovers. It never resigns itself to anything. Creativity is everything. Almost no one on earth is creative. Anaïs Nin said, "There are very few human beings who receive the truth, complete and staggering by instant illumination. Most of them acquire it fragment by fragment on a small scale, by successive developments, cellularly, like a laborious mosaic. Intellectual intuition is the greatest gift. You see everything all at once. And that's when you have the mind of God. Most people get nowhere near the truth. They have fragmentary minds. Science is all about fragmentary parts. It hates the coherent whole." Anaïs Nin said, "Creation which cannot express itself becomes madness. And so does the inability to create. Trolls are insane because they cannot create, only destroy." Anaïs Nin said, "The role of the writer is not to say what we can all say, but what we are unable to say. Most of the writing today, which is called fiction, contains such a poverty of language, such triteness, that it is a shrunken, diminished world we enter, poorer and more formless than the poorest cripple deprived of ears and eyes and tongue. The writer's responsibility is to increase, develop our senses, expand our vision, heighten our awareness, and enrich our articulateness." Along these lines, Shelley said, "Poets are the unacknowledged legislators of the world. We have a tremendous confidence in the power of the word. Unfortunately, social media is all about the power of the image. It's the death of the word, the annihilation of the logos." Anaïs Nin said, "I'm restless. Things are calling me away. We too are being called away to higher things. We shall find new territories to roam and explore." Anaïs Nin said, "For me, the adventures of the mind, each inflection of thought, each movement, nuance, growth, discovery, is a source of exhilaration. We couldn't find people willing to have adventures of the mind. That's why we failed." Anaïs Nin said, "People living deeply have no fear of death. The masses live in absolute fear of death. All of their lives are shallow, empty, and hollow. They are too scared to live." Anaïs Nin said, "I believe one writes because one has to create a world in which one can live. I could not live in any of the worlds offered to me. The world of my parents, the world of war, the world of politics. I had to create a world of my own, like a climate, a country, an atmosphere in which I could breathe, reign, and recreate myself when destroyed by living. That, I believe, is the reason for every work of art." Writers have the incredible privilege of, like gods, creating and directing worlds. Could anything be worse than being uncreative? Why are trolls so bitter and warped? It's because they cannot make. So, to avenge themselves, they unmake, they wreck. They kick over every sandcastle they find. Anaïs Nin said, "We are beginning to see the influence of dream upon reality, and reality upon dream. There's still such a long way to go to understand what this really means. Everything is a dream. We all dream privately, separately, but we also all dream publicly, collectively. The latter is the world." Anaïs Nin said, "Do not seek the because in love there is no because, no reason, no explanation, no solutions. There's always a sufficient reason. The exceptional thing about love is that the sufficient reason is always unconscious. No one falls in love consciously. The magic of love resides in its unconscious nature. There is no more mysterious alchemy than love. It's an embrace of archetypes, hence is numinous." Anaïs Nin said, "He was jealous of her future, and she of his past. Are you jealous of the love she will have in the future? Is she jealous of the love you had in the past?" Anaïs Nin said, "And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. When will you blossom? Isn't it time? Haven't you waited long enough?" Anaïs Nin said, "If only I could be freed of this quest for the Father. Father? Savior? God? No one can be freed of that quest. One way or another, people must resolve this question, or perish in the attempt. Most people never make it to an answer.